The 1954 Geneva Convention, establishing a framework for peace. The 1954 Geneva Convention, officially known as the Geneva Conference on Indochina, was a significant diplomatic meeting that took place in Geneva, Switzerland, from April 26 to July 21, 1954. The primary purpose of the conference was to address the ongoing conflicts in Indochina and Korea, and to establish a framework for peace and stability in these regions. The agreements reached during this conference had profound implications for the geopolitical landscape of Southeast Asia and marked a critical turning point in the Cold War era. The origins of the 1954 Geneva Convention can be traced to the end of World War II, which left many colonial regions in turmoil as they struggled for independence. In Indochina, the Viet Minh, a communist-led nationalist movement, had been fighting against French colonial rule since 1946 in what became known as the First Indochina War. The conflict intensified as Cold War tensions escalated, with the United States providing significant support to the French and the Soviet Union and China backing the Viet Minh. By 1954, the situation in Indochina had reached a critical point. The decisive Battle of Dien Bien Phu, where Viet Minh forces defeated the French, underscored the urgent need for a negotiated settlement. Simultaneously, the Korean peninsula remained divided along the 38th parallel after the Korean War armistice in 1953, creating another flashpoint in the Cold War. The Geneva Conference was convened to address these pressing issues and to seek peaceful resolutions. The Geneva Conference brought together representatives from the United States, the Soviet Union, China, France, the United Kingdom, and other involved parties. The discussions were primarily focused on two main issues: the conflict in Indochina and the situation in Korea. The negotiations were complex and often contentious, reflecting the broader geopolitical struggles of the Cold War. In the case of Indochina, the conference led to the signing of the Geneva Accords on July 21, 1954. These accords included several key provisions: a ceasefire between the French and Viet Minh forces, the temporary division of Vietnam along the 17th parallel, and the establishment of a demilitarized zone. The accords also stipulated that national elections were to be held in 1956 to reunify Vietnam under a single government. Additionally, the agreements called for the withdrawal of foreign troops from Laos and Cambodia, which were also struggling with independence movements. Regarding Korea, the conference failed to produce a significant breakthrough. The division of Korea along the 38th parallel remained unresolved, and no formal peace treaty was signed. This outcome reflected the deep-seated mistrust and competing interests of the United States and the Soviet Union, which hindered progress towards a unified Korea. Outcomes and impact. The 1954 Geneva Convention had far-reaching consequences for Southeast Asia and the global political landscape. In Vietnam, the temporary division of the country laid the groundwork for further conflict. The national elections promised in the Geneva Accords never took place, leading to the establishment of two separate states: the communist-led Democratic Republic of Vietnam in the north and the U.S.-backed Republic of Vietnam in the south. This division eventually culminated in the Vietnam War, a prolonged and devastating conflict that would last until 1975. The Geneva Accords also had significant implications for Laos and Cambodia. Both countries faced continued internal strife as they navigated the challenges of independence and the pressures of Cold War geopolitics. The agreements aimed to prevent the spread of communism in these nations, but both Laos and Cambodia would later become battlegrounds in the larger conflict involving Vietnam. The failure to achieve a comprehensive resolution for Korea at the Geneva Conference meant that the Korean peninsula remained a focal point of Cold War tensions. The armistice signed in 1953 temporarily halted the fighting, but the absence of a formal peace treaty left North and South Korea in a state of unresolved conflict, a situation that persists to this day. The legacy of the 1954 Geneva Convention is complex and multifaceted. On one hand, the conference succeeded in bringing about a temporary cessation of hostilities in Indochina and provided a framework for the withdrawal of colonial powers. On the other hand, the agreements reached at Geneva set the stage for future conflicts, particularly in Vietnam, where the failure to hold national elections led to increased U.S. involvement and the escalation of the Vietnam War. The Geneva Convention also highlighted the limitations of diplomatic negotiations during the Cold War, where ideological divisions and geopolitical rivalries often obstructed lasting solutions. The conference demonstrated the challenges of achieving peace in a world deeply divided by superpower competition, a theme that would continue to define international relations throughout the latter half of the 20th century. In contemporary reflections, the 1954 Geneva Convention serves as a reminder of the complexities of post-colonial transitions and the enduring impact of Cold War dynamics on regional conflicts. It underscores the importance of inclusive and sustained diplomatic efforts in resolving international disputes and the need for mechanisms that can address the underlying causes of conflict.
Thank you for watching Tell Time Tales. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest stories. Until next time, keep exploring the past.